The Ascension of the Ladyboy by Mia Teham. Mia Teham is an author who graduated from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, with a degree in creative writing and a minor in European languages. She is a critic for Happy Monday poetry readings and Rocket Capre, also a 2007 Dumaguete National Writers Workshop, and also a co-editor from Philippine Speculative Fiction Sampler. Her works has appeared in the Philippines Free Press, Philippine Speculative Fiction Anthologies, Philippine Genre Stories, and Expanded Horizons. It has earned her the following achievements: an honorable mention in the 2008 Year's Best Fantasy and Horror, final spot in the 2009 Philippines Free Press Literary Awards, an award in Charleston's Best of the Philippine Speculative Fiction in 2009, and also the University of the Philippines Press Best of Philippine Speculative Fiction in 2005 and 2010, and the 2012 Mariner Awards.
She's a story of a ladyboy, a girl by heart, living in Los Angeles, Iriga City. There, she would live with her parents and her yaya, Iyay. Hiding her feminine side, ladyboy would often sneak into her mother's room to do some women's business. She would imitate what her mother does in front of a mirror. She would wear lipstick, heels, accessories, and even skirts, all the while fantasizing that she is a beautiful contestant. Their servants, Nana Iyay, knew of her ladyboy activities, but not a single word to her parents. Furthermore, Nana Iyay is known for being an aswang, since she is too old but still very strong and reliable, who often helped other peoples. Growing up, she had to keep her to the other people as she knew she would not be accepted. Her mother denies who is she inside and instead think that she is possessed by a bad spirit. So her mother pray every day for the bad spirit to finally leave her body. Nanay Iyay is the only one who supported Ladyboy once in life. One day, Ladyboy got caught by her father and saw her wearing red lipstick, skirt, and heels. Her father got really angry at what he saw, so he lashed his leather belt on Ladyboy and dragged her to where all chickens were caged, locked her up, and shouted that she needs to reflect there to be a man, with no food and proper grooming in the cage. Her Nanay Iyay would often help her. Then, one day, her father forced her to take the Philippine Military Academy PMA examination. However, she didn't want to pursue it because she preferred being in the fashion industry. So, he left home and went to Metro Manila, where she got involved with some unpleasant businesses, such as prostitution and usage of illegal drugs. She found love through prostitution, but it is not what real, as she was being paid and used for the meantime. She was happy with this though, having this kind of life. She then met her Prince Charming when she and her friends decided to go on a group date. Ladyboy was captured by how kind, loving, and sweet he is, and the two fell in love instantly. However, her lover promised her that they would be together forever, until one day, she found the love of her life was committed to another woman who is a real woman by birth and would be marrying her very soon. Not Ladyboy, even though he promised. She was devastated and broken-hearted because she thought that she was the one for her.
Continuing the story, after the events that transpired, Ladyboy ultimately decided to go home and face her past. Upon coming home, Ladyboy was greeted by her Nanay Iyay with the utmost joy, and she also gave Ladyboy a big toothless smile, and a very tight hug with that. Sadly, as expected, Ladyboy's parents still do not acknowledge that fact that she chose to become a woman, but it was not as bad as before. After some time, Ladyboy's parents loosened their pride and started to show signs of acceptance towards Ladyboy. One day, out of curiosity, Ladyboy asked her Nana Iyay if she could make her ex-boyfriend suffer from black magic. Nana Iyay told Ladyboy that it was possible, but you first have to become an aswang to do it. Nana Iyay, as told from earlier, is known as a very old aswang, and now she wants to rest in peace. So, she offered Ladyboy to take her place of being an aswang. Ladyboy accepted it, and now she is the aswang of Los Angeles Iriga City. She finally lives the good life that she dreamt of in her early days. Moving on to the methodology, the literary theories and criticisms that we utilized are the following: author-dependent approach, which includes historical bibliographical approach and moral philosophical approach; text-dependent approach, which uses formalism and structuralism; and also feminist criticism, gender criticism, and last but not the least, psychological criticism. Historical bibliographical approach is a technique where readers employ their knowledge about the history and background of the author to effectively comprehend the context of the literary piece that they are critiquing. Moral philosophical approach is a method where readers of a literary piece literally focus their attention on the philosophical and moral values of the story, rather than studying its other aspects. Under the text-dependent approach, formalism is a type of criticism where readers solely focus their full attention on the information found in the literary piece itself. According to a study conducted by Harman and Holman during the year of 2003, formalist criticism disregards any other information that is not written in the literary text. On the other hand, structuralism is a school of criticism that focuses on the words used in a literary text. These words are the ones that could potentially hold deeper context other than their actual meanings that are written in the standard dictionary. Gender criticism is like a subgenre of feminist criticism, but it focuses more on the circumstances of the homosexual or LGBTQ+ community. This criticism suggests that gender is not limited to being a male or female, but is actually multi-dimensional. And lastly, psychological criticism focuses on the psychological aspect of a literary text. This enables the readers to examine the motives, the rationality behind the action of a character or the author of the literary piece itself.
Now for the historical and bibliographical approach. The approach applies in the story due to the time period and social structure, specifically between men and women, as well as the character Ladyboy who has been heavily criticized, particularly during her time when she couldn't be accepted for who she wanted to be. The story also acknowledged that you can see how the writer gave impacts to the story, especially when it comes to being distinctive. The narrator was wise enough to be capable of representing how unique and different would be in the face of others. Even Ladyboy's own parents were deceived because of what she chose in her life. So in conclusion, in this story, she was able to fully express and represent her thoughts and emotions throughout the end.
The moral philosophical approach of the story is that individuals should learn to understand other people's differences because no multiple individuals are alike, whether they are entirely different from what they were born with or how different they are from the norms and values that they are accustomed to. People like Ladyboy, who did not receive much support or acceptance, tend to make tough decisions because they will have to prove themselves on their own. Next is the application of the text-dependent approach. The main character, Ladyboy, is a man with a woman's heart. However, her father and mother weren't precisely blissful when they found out Ladyboy's desire. Still, Iyay, their old servant, was the only one in their household who accepted her. When she found out that her father wanted to send her to the military, Ladyboy decided to run away from home. But she got engaged in dark activities, and then she met Prince Charming, who later on betrayed her. This made her decide to return to her hometown and discover that her family somehow accepted her being a homosexual. She then decided to inherit Iyay's aswang powers so she could cast spells and seek revenge on her former Prince Charming. She then recovered from the wounds of her past and thus resulting to the title, The Ascension of Our Lady Boy. For structuralism, the story had few symbols. First, the chicken, which Ladyboy's father told her to eat more for her to be manlier. The lipstick, which symbolized how much she wanted to become a woman, and the heels, meant to express her feminine side. For feminism, the story contains a lot of gender role dictations, such as how a man and a lady should act. For example, there was a time in the story when Ladyboy wasn't allowed to call her father daddy because her father told her that Papa sounded more haciendero and macho and hence more manly.
Gender criticism. The narrative represented an authoritarian household. It shows that the majority of the choices are made by the father. The father of the Ladyboy was the boss of the household. For instance, the father saw Ladyboy dress like a girl and wear makeup, and because of that, he smacked and hit his child. The father made a quote-unquote solution to think that the Ladyboy will change, and then abandoned her in the chicken coop, depriving her of the food and water until he matured. The story is somehow related to the LGBTQ+ community. It tackles morality because it shows how society will accept the LGBTQ+, and also its own family. Certain individuals may have harsh opinions against homosexual, bisexual, and other males or females who engage in sexual activity with the same sex. These views may result in rejection from friends and family, discriminatory and actions and violence, and also harmful laws and regulations if you are homosexual or bisexual or part of the LGBTQ. Homophobic people and stigma and prejudice may be very difficult to overcome. So what makes this story outstanding is because the author explains or relates the life of an LGBTQ+ community, moreover, how it will be affected if the Ladyboy's father knew about his identity as a homosexual. That is why after his mother and Yaya Iyay know his identity, they keep it a secret.